Where do we want to go now? Do you want to go to the Warriors? Because the Warriors are
Yeah.
just like the most interesting conversation of this to me.
Yeah, we
Because
can talk about the Warriors.
The Warriors starting lineup right now of Steph, Clay, Dre, Wiggins, and Looney. They are plus 27 per 100 possessions. This team is 3-5 right now. Wonder what the problem is, Mark.
Yeah. Could it be the all bench lineups?
Yeah.
Not even just the all bench lineups. There's a lot to dive into here. I think I was going back and watching some stuff today. Obviously, I've seen them a lot in passing. I wanted to rewatch some things. Like, I think the biggest difference for me is just role player processing speed right now. Like, I think you see so much of like this team, like, obviously, a lot gets made out of how good they are with their shooting and spacing. But a lot of what their spacing was made out of last year and in years prior is how quickly they move the ball. Like teams just, I think you saw that especially in the Denver series. Like Denver just could not react fast enough to how well oiled that team was. With like, even if you have, okay, GP2 is not really a shooter. He's not a guy that you're going to worry about shooting the ball, but he moves the ball incredibly fast. He's a good screener. Like he handles and he makes decisions like that. Otto Porter Jr., exact same thing. Like God tier shooter. Georgetown's finest. Don't want to think about the FGCU game, but like he moves the ball so fast, really good rebounder too. And I think you see them missing that. Now, in part, like Dante DiVincenzo has been out. I do think that helps with the benches, but like you see Wiseman has to hold the ball. Like Jordan Poole has been very good with the ball in his hands, but like, again, it's just their bench overall. I think like even Moody is still kind of finding his way. The turnovers have been a big problem. Like they've all just really been off page. There's a lot to dive into with that bench, but I mean, a big part too has been like Clay has just been pretty rough to start the year. I think his defense has been a step back and obviously he's missing kind of everything offensively right now.
Yeah, like I'm not worried about the shot. Like that'll come
Yeah,
around.
yeah, for sure.
I do wonder if, we're sitting here at midseason and he still looks a bit slow. What do we think then?
Yeah.
I will be a little bit more worried. Yeah, I mean, look, Steph has been awesome. Wiggins has been very good. I think Dre has been really good again.
Yep.
Like he's been killer defensively for them. I think Looney's been really good as well for what it's worth. Like Looney just continues to do his job. He continues to take that, those minutes that he gets and run with them at the end of the day, even as they're trying to like pray beyond belief that James Wiseman can take his job. It seems like the problem for them, I think, is obviously the bench minutes are a disaster, but Wiseman is like a pretty real hindrance for them on the court right now. And I get why they're giving him minutes. I think that eventually the hope is that the experience he's going to get over this time is going to help them in the long term be able to play in a little bit of a different way, be able to adjust, because you can see stylistically they're just so drastically different when he's on the court, right? Instead of running their ball movement, motion heavy offense, they essentially become like a traditional screen setting, high ball screen, rim roller, try and get a pull up, try and get, a team into rotation off of a cross court kick out, just things like that, right? They become a lot more traditional. They lose their Warriors-ness. That's a way to phrase it, I guess. And then on top of it, defensively, he just is kind of lost a lot of the time. Like he blocks some shots here and there, but like he gets the same thing with Karl Towns. Like he gets stuck in that no man's land just way too often defensively at this point. And of course he does. He's played, Mark, how many minutes do we think James Wiseman has played like in the last 4 years? It feels like, right?
300 minutes on court, maybe.
Yeah. like probably I would say 700 if you made me bet. So he's played 950 NBA minutes in now 3 seasons, plus the minutes he played at Memphis, which I think were like 50 or something like that. So he's played like 1,000 minutes in 4 seasons at this point, basically, or 3.5 seasons, right? And this is going to be a process for him at the end of the day. Like he needs active on-court reps to find out what he is. That's period, point blank what we need. Having said that, he is a real hindrance to them, and at some point the dam is going to break, and that they're going to need to make a decision if he doesn't continue to show improvement. I don't think we're there yet. I don't think there's any reason to panic with the Warriors because their starting lineup is still absolutely incredible, as this shows. And then on top of it, like, Jonathan Kuminga has not been very good. I'm glad that you brought up the processing speed. Like, Jonathan Kuminga is like the prime example of this to me, right? Like, he does not have that same, he has the same athleticism and energy that Gary Payton II has, but like does not have the same processing, quick movement, get the ball off real quick. And plus, when they play these bench units, again, they play a lot more traditional with high ball screen stuff, and his lack of shooting becomes even more prevalent in terms of an issue. So, and then like they're playing Ty Jerome minutes because Dante was out. Like they really only have like Jordan Poole off the bench that's actually like an impactful player. Like JaMychal Green is a rotation player in the NBA, but like
they really only has been falling for him, so it's been tough too.
Yeah. They don't have a lot right now.
Yeah. I think especially with Wiseman, like the communication, I think, is the biggest issue right now. Like there was a really good clip from the Heat game where, to be fair, like Moody gets kind of erased on a screen, but like that's the kind of stuff where like, okay, I don't think Moody necessarily saw the screen coming. Like Wiseman's just kind of stuck there about 8 feet from the rim and doesn't really move a ton. Like I mean, again, like I think that's the hardest part because I would say, at least for me, like bigs defensively, especially more traditional drop stuff, like we just don't like. Jalen Duren is very much an outlier in how good he is already as a drop defender. Like most guys, like even Miles Turner became like a borderline all defensive player of the year candidate, but he took probably 4 or 5 years to really learn the ins and outs of being a good drop defender in the NBA. Yeah. And it could, I mean, not saying that Wiseman's going to get to that level, but like it takes time to get there. And I'm with you. Like, I don't know that I see it happening this year. I would like it to. And even on the actual screen and roll stuff, like it's been better, but he's still having some issues with finishing around the rim, just losing the ball. The missed dunks continue to be a little bit of a problem.
And he's gone from like one of the 5 worst screeners in the NBA to being, like a merely below average screener still, which is still like a below average skill, right? Even though there's been improvement there. So it's hard. It's hard, but here's the thing. He needs to do it this year because, again, I've said this previously, the Warriors, they have to find somewhere in like the $12 to $15 million range to get off of their books for next year. And everyone's looking at Draymond Green. Everyone's like, oh, this Draymond Green deal, like that's the one that you can get rid of. That's the one that you cut. You know how much James Wiseman makes next year, Mark?
Like what, 10 million? Probably around there.
James Wiseman's salary for the 2023-2024 season is $12.1 million.
Okay. I didn't realize it was that much.
So this is the cleanest way to do this, is just move James Wiseman for a draft pick, because assuredly someone would be more than willing to take a flyer on James Wiseman as essentially like a free agency acquisition that costs, whatever it would cost, depending on how he plays the rest of the year. The cleanest way to keep this core together, continue to build for youth with guys like Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, Patrick Baldwin, Ryan Rollins, etc., is just to move Wiseman's money. And I know that the Warriors front office loves him. I know that like he's their guy that they picked and they're committed to him, and they have every reason to, because they have no real reason to not be at this point. These are future problems for the Warriors, not right now problems. So they should absolutely be committed to James Wiseman right now. The cleanest way to do this is just to get rid of the salary at the end of the day. And that's why they have to find out what they have with James Wiseman right now, period.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what's so difficult in this. And I think too, like one of the things that I had big questions about early in the year was, how does Wiseman coming back impact Jonathan Kuminga? And I think it's been quite negatively to start the year. And I don't mean that as a slight at James. That's just how the roster goes. Like we've seen him even get benched a couple times, just straight up DMPs.
Yeah.
And he's playing, instead of playing more of the 4-5 that we saw him last year, where he was really showing some good flashes. Like he's been getting some more on-ball reps, which maybe that's part of what the Warriors want. I would say probably not, but you know, just by virtue of what the roster has been, he's had to play a little bit more out of position, and it has not looked great. So yeah, I think I'm right there with you. There should be people who are interested in James Wiseman around the league. There definitely are. Like he's an intriguing and good prospect still, but I agree. Like it happening in Golden State feels pretty tough right now.